Clerk shall take the roll. And a quorum is present. Good morning, everyone. We have several bills that are before us. First, we have one with an administrative matter, House Bill 614 had previously passed the committee. However, there is a new substitute and a bill to be rolled in. So do I have a motion from Delegate Simons that, having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed House Bill 643, that we reconsider that vote?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, House Bill 643 is before us. Do we have a motion to incorporate under Rule 22 House Bill 1323 by Delegate Reeser?
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the bill has been incorporated into House Bill 643. Now there is a couple of technical updates to 643's substitute. Do we have a motion to adopt the substitute?
Move to adopt the substitute.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye to adopt the substitute for 643.
Aye.
All those opposed, the substitute carries. Do we have a motion on House Bill 643, the marathon bill, to report as substituted?
Move to report as substituted.
Motion made and properly seconded to report House Bill 643 as substituted, which previously passed this committee. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports with substitute 15-0. We'll begin, if I can bring the committee's attention to bills before full. We'll begin with Delegate Helmer. And good morning, Delegate Helmer.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. How are you this fine Monday morning?
You're doing well. So we have 3 bills, I believe, that touch on a similar subject. If we'll begin there, Delegate Helmer, House Bill 299. And then we'll ask the other patrons, House Bill 189, Delegate Converse-Fowler, and then relatedly is House Bill 1410 by Delegate Wilt. If they have anything to add to these related matters. Delegate Helmer, I believe there is a substitute that we posted in advance. Do I have a motion to adopt the substitute?
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded without objection. The substitute, House Bill 299, is before us. Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Good morning. This bill should look somewhat familiar to as substituted, as it is work that we did collectively last year focused on standards of learning testing. All of us, I think collectively, I think on both sides of the aisle as well, I think that there's a few things going on in education right now. One is we want high standards for our children and excellent schools. The second thing is that our standards of learning tests have degraded over time. They're no longer aligned to our curriculum. Third, the incentives around them are not necessarily aligned to excellence in the classroom. And lastly, the tests need to significantly improve, and the amount of classroom time spent teaching to those tests we want to see decrease. Last year, what we did is pass a bill that moves testing to later in the year, so that right now we lose about a year of total testing time, classroom time, because the SOLs are given about a month early over the course of a student's 12 years in K through 12. And so the bill moved it over. It then established some standards for alternative tests to make sure that when localities are administering alternative tests that they are good tests. And lastly, it provided incentives for students and teachers. One is to have teachers spend less time doing prep for tests when they're already going to get essentially a final. Two, for students who take it because these tests are so meaningful for our schools by having them become part of classroom grades. Over the course of the year, we've heard a lot of feedback, which I'm greatly appreciative of, from advocacy groups, stakeholders, parents, teachers, students, about some things that we missed out on in the bill. And this represents a significant consensus among multiple groups about how we address that. One, on that 2-week time limit for taking the test that we established to lose less classroom time to preparing for SOLs, it adds some flexibility to deal with the fact that instruction might not be at the end of the year, dealing with high school seniors who obviously have different things, transfer students, a bunch of different pieces outlined in there. The second thing is we said we're going to get better SOLs, but we haven't done that yet. And so this clarifies that we are delaying enactment of that until we get better SOLs and then giving a 2-year period in order to enroll. So we're pushing that 10% significantly into the future and aligning it with the goal of good tests. We don't want bad tests to align with that 10% grade. We're moving from administering the SOL to all students to understanding there are times where flexibility is required and creates a waiver process. It does exempt, there's the one test per quarter per year. We think that it dealt with AP and CLAP and IB already, but there was some requests from various school boards for us to be much more explicit about that, so that's dealt with. We do keep the 100-point scale in here. We've heard from lots of parents that they don't really understand 600 points. It's really hard to figure that out. And as we have conversations about cut scores and things like that, it will be easier to adjust those if everybody understands, that passing means passing. It does have some limits on end-of-course assessments. It addresses some new mechanisms to protect special education students. And with that, Mr. Chair, I know that was a lot of explanation, but there's a lot in this bill, and I'm at the leisure of the committee unless you wanted other patrons to go first.
Yeah, thank you, Delegate Helmer. Delegate Wilt, welcome. We're hearing the 3 bills together. Delegate Helmer's bill is more of an omnibus, but you've got a component of it. We certainly would like to hear from you on House Bill 1410.
Thank you,
that component.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Yes, my bill is 1410 is very narrowly drawn. It addresses the assessment process for students with disabilities. I think last year, the bill going forward, I think they were included in exempting those students and allowing more flexibility, for their assessment. And so I think through the process last year, maybe they got that got eliminated. So what I'm trying to do is put that back into the assessment process.
Thank you, Delegate Wilt.
Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
And a third bill related, House Bill 189, Delegate Converse Fowler is touching on the same 10%. We welcome Delegate Converse Fowler to talk to us about House Bill 189.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 189 aims to simply repeal the requirement that students' performance on SOL tests count towards at least 10% of their grade. We have heard from a lot of education advocates in support of this bill, notably the Virginia Council of Administrators of Special Education, who cited their concerns that some special education students could fail their course, risking the loss of their diploma because of the grade requirement. Mr. Chair, as an educator, I know how difficult testing can be for students for a wide variety of reasons, and I don't believe that instituting a grade requirement on these end-of-the-year tests sets a good precedent for fostering real learning. The grade requirement serves to force teachers to teach for test taking rather than the understanding of the material, and heightens testing anxiety that many of our young Virginians already face. As a prior educator, I do want to add that I taught 3rd grade. I taught the first year they take SOLs, so I have a very good perspective on what this does to students in terms of their anxiety, in terms of test taking, and with that, Mr. Chair, that's HB 189.
Thank you, Delegate. To put your bill in a similar posture, I believe we've discussed an amendment to your bill to add the reenactment clause. And so if I could have a motion on adding that amendment.
So
Motion's been made and properly seconded to adopt the amendment. And so House Bill 189 without objection is before us as amended. Now we'll turn to members of the public who wish to be heard on any of these bills of related concepts. If you are in favor, please come forward. And you don't have to be scared of each other. You can come on up. And
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. We were actually here to support all three of these bills. We think there are good concepts in all of them. We especially appreciate the cleanup bill that Delegate Helmer so thoughtfully put together. There are a lot of technical changes in here that just make the implementation of our testing much more manageable and functional for our schools. So we support all of these bills.
thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Mike Asip with Virginia Council of Administrators of Special Education. We appreciate the consideration that our students with disabilities will be experiencing with the passage of these bills. We appreciate the delegates' understanding of the testing challenges that they face and not to penalize their year-long success with a 10% penalty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Joel Andrus on behalf of Virginia Beach City Public Schools, Loudoun County Public Schools, echoing the comments of the VEA. Appreciate all the work on this issue over the past year and look forward to continuing to work on it with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Emily Webb with Advantage Strategies representing Alexandria City, Norfolk City Public Schools. I'd like to associate my comments with those before me. We do appreciate the delegate working with us and look forward to continuing this discussion with him and the department as the new assessment system is rolled out.
Thank you. Those in opposition to the bill, please come forward. We'll turn online. If there's anyone online, we have one online. Good morning, Dr. Siebert.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Alan Siebert, Roanoke City Public Schools. We appreciate the efforts to address some of the unintended consequences from the bill last year. These improvements were necessary, and we also look forward to continued work as the RFP from the Commonwealth proceeds as we look to modernize the assessment system. Thank you. We support.
Thank you, Dr. Siebert. We've heard some testimony. So we know that the larger omnibus bill will continue having work being done on it as it heads up to appropriations. So there'll be some work because we have a letter on that bill. And are there questions from the committee? The reason why we're hearing these in full right now, in part, is because we are trying to get some bills up to appropriations that they need to see. So if there are questions or comments from the committee, Delegate Laufer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And maybe this is a question for the patrons. One concern I've heard is the timing. So I'm trying to read all of this at once. So if you could clarify when, how much time, because part of what the schools are trying to do is also offer an opportunity to retake the test. So if you could address that, and then I have another question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd answer the delegate that one as the husband of an assistant principal. I know we got to get this right because I want to stay out of trouble at home too. But I think what we have is the 2 weeks before. And what happens now, right? So you got the 4 weeks, and in many cases, classroom instruction stops after that SOL to focus on the retakes, right? So that's the challenge, is that we are offering that. So what this does is it does move us in that 2 week period, still allows for the retakes of like students who miss it and things like that, and then it puts us in the posture of finding alternatives for those students who don't pass in the last 2 weeks. And then there is some more flexibility that this does around that 2 week period. But my understanding in working with the administrators and everybody else is that as we've addressed the major concerns about the timing in this through that new flexibility. And just one piece, there was the testimony in the special education piece, which we really agree with, and I think we've addressed that too in this omnibus.
Thank you, Delegate Laufer, Delegate Helmer. Further questions or concerns? I'm sorry, Delegate Laufer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not sure which person this would be addressed to. Could you explain a little bit more about the exemption or alternative for disability students?
So thank you, Mr. Chair, to the delegates. So there are our Delegate Wiltz and my bill essentially address the special needs exemption. So for special needs students, we're basically not penalizing schools for having special needs students and providing exemptions within the context of the bill for them. So I think they will be covered by the exemption in a way that we were unclear before, and we've worked with the special education community to make sure that we feel comfortable with where that sits now. So I think the testimony was correct that we don't want to penalize special education students, and I think this bill accomplishes that now in the way we've done the exemptions.
With an alternative assessment, is that correct?
The alternative assessments are covered, and there are a number of the crux of it before is you couldn't select some students to have an alternative assessment and some to have the SOL. Now we're allowed to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Delegate Anderson has a question for the School Board Association. If there anyone here from School Board Association, Stacy Haney. Delegate.
So sorry to make her run. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a quick question in regards to kind of going back to what Delegate Loeffler was focusing on is the timing. I know SOLs are directly linked, obviously, to funding for our public education system. So is there any concern about the retakes being done to ensure that each school division is getting adequate funding as a response to their test scores? And I know VEA and my division is on board with this. So I'm hoping that means they're favorable to that, but I just want to make sure that's clarified.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, to the delegate, yes, we think that the substitute strikes a good balance and addresses the concerns from many of the stakeholders. I just didn't make it up earlier. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Anderson. That answers your question. Okay, thank you. Further questions from the committee? This is a big bill. There's a lot of questions. People are trying to figure this out as we move forward. If there are no further questions, the appropriate motion would be to send this to appropriations where the conversation would continue as there are a number of different components associated. So we would report and refer the substitute to appropriations.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate Simons.
Move to report and refer the substitute to appropriations.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to report and refer House Bill 299.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry, please, sir. Confirming that we're just doing Helmer's bill. We presented all three. I'm just making sure the posture we're putting it in, we are only doing Helmer's bill right now.
At this moment, we are
okay. Thank you,
only voting, yes, only voting on 299.
Thank you.
Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports and refers 16-2. Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Next, we have House Bill 189 as amended. We have a motion on House Bill 189 by Delegate Converse-Fowler as amended.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 189 as amended. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports as amended, 16-2. And then finally, we have House Bill 1410. Delegate Simons.
Mr. Chair, I move that under Rule 22, we continue this to the next session, 2027.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to carry over House Bill 1410 under Rule 22. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries as we continue to take on these important subjects as we move forward. Thank you to the delegates. We have one further bill by Delegate Helmer. Delegate Helmer. We'll turn the committee's attention to House Bill 359, and that has a substitute as well. If we could have a motion on the substitute. Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, the substitute is before us. Delegate Helmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I recognize that I've been before you on a fairly complicated bill the first time. This one is less complicated, although also long. What this bill does is protect students, consumers, and taxpayers in Virginia by ensuring that where we provide opportunities for state-backed or federally backed funding for private schools in Virginia, that those private schools meet standards that public schools also have to meet that ensure excellence. That includes the administration of the SOLs. It includes making sure that they are qualified in a similar way to public schools. And at the same time, it allows those schools to continue with religious and other instruction, and it makes sure that they are not discriminating. It doesn't change what any private school can do on its own, but it does ensure that if they are receiving public money, that they are operating with accountability, administering an excellent education, and ensuring that our kids leave K through 12 prepared for the real world. With that, I am at the pleasure of the committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Helmer. Are there questions from the committee? This bill is before us as it needs to go to appropriations today as well. Those wishing to speak in favor of the bill, please come forward.
Chad Stewart, we're the Virginia Education Association. We appreciate the patron for carrying this bill. To clarify, that this substitute does just address federal voucher money that could come into the state, hypothetically, if we chose to opt in or if there's a cross-state subsidy from the federal voucher program that was included in the reconciliation bill this past year. The existing small state program that we have, the Educational Improvement Tax Scholarship, has been excluded within the substitute. So this is just addressing potential federal vouchers coming into the state. And we see this as extremely important, mainly because in states that have expanded vouchers rapidly with similar structures to what the federal government has just set up, we've seen a lot of subprime schools set up that last for a couple years, have terrible outcomes for students. There's a lot of longitudinal research on this for states that have had these programs for more than a decade now that just consistently show that students who switch over from public schools using these dollars generally perform significantly worse on average in all of their testing areas. We think that this is an important safeguard and accountability bill to ensure that if we're going to have federal vouchers enter the state, we expect some levels of quality for these schools that accept it. Not all. We don't go as far as all the requirements for public schools. This is just some of the requirements. It's not even close to all of them that our public schools have to face. For those reasons, we strongly support this bill.
Thank you. Those wishing to speak in person in opposition to the bill, and please ensure you're speaking to the substitute. This is a new substitute that is before us. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dan Zacharias. I'm the director of the Old Dominion Association of Church School. We have read the substitute. It does not allay our particular concerns. You have to understand that ODAX is a group of independent Baptist churches that operate Christian schools. We view our schools as an integral ministry of the local church in the same way that our Sunday school, our youth group, our vocation Bible school, all these different instructional things that we do. And there are autonomous local churches that are in control of their own content, the truth that they proclaim. We view House Bill 359, even the substitute, to be a serious violation of the principle of separation of church and state. We believe that the definition of public funding is way too broad. It includes federal private dollars that get a federal tax credit, but they're private donations. They're not public money. And so that puts us in jeopardy. And for the first time, it's being suggested that VDOE have control of our curriculum. To us, that's no different than controlling the rest of our ministries and what they teach. So we ask the committee to oppose. I do have a group of people, I'd like them to stand real quick from the Odex family to let you know that they are joining us in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Dr. Michael Huffman, and I'm the Executive Director and Professor of Constitutional Law with the Virginia Assembly of Independent Baptists. And we believe HB 359 violates the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia in at least 3 ways. First of all, it creates 2 classes of people. Those allowed to access public tuition assistance and those denied it because of what they believe and consistently practice. This is, Mr. Chair, discrimination. As Justice Joseph Story explained, the Constitution was written to prevent government from preferring one set of beliefs over another or imposing disabilities on citizens because of their religious conviction. HB 359 directly does this. Second, it violates the free exercise clause. When the government says you must act against your deeply held religious beliefs in order to receive a public benefit, it has already crossed the constitutional line. Story emphasized the First Amendment protects the full and unburdened exercise of religion and forbids government from coercing religious practice. The patron tries to throw us a bone by saying we can still teach religion, but the moment you force religious schools to abandon their practice, you have violated the First Amendment and the Code 57-1 of the Code of Virginia. HB 359 violates the Establishment Clause. Story wrote that the First Amendment was designed to prevent government from establishing a preferred orthodoxy or promoting one's religious beliefs. We believe HB 359 violates the Constitution on all 3 levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Chair. I want to start off by saying that...
Identify yourself.
Oh, sorry. Travis Anderson.
Good morning.
Roanoke, Virginia. I want to speak about this bill not only as a former parent that accepted funds, scholarship funds, which I know that now there's an exemption, but unfortunately this bill leads a path where that would not have been an opportunity for my family to choose private education. I'm a former public school educator just outside the 38th district. And there's many aspects of this bill, not only from a philosophical viewpoint, but also as far as the requirements that we need to make sure that private schools are held to the same standard as public schools. Public schools, we change the accountability from accreditation as far as funding. This mechanism in here with the consequences, if we were to apply that same standard to our current public schools, would mean that roughly 1/3 of our public schools would lose all their funding streams, the same as with this bill. So we just want equal as far as our private schools.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Zach Hellkamp. I'm the Director of Development for Roanoke Valley Christian Schools right in your backyard. I second everything that has been said this morning in regards to HB 359. I represent a school that's been around for 53 years. I'm a product of the school, K through 12. We are able to use this funding to provide Christian school access to many families who otherwise wouldn't. It gives our parents an opportunity for school choice. I also second what was mentioned about there are some provisions in here that seem to throw a bone to religious organizations, but truly if this were to pass, we have a very simple decision to make. We would no longer participate this under our convictions, our biblically founded convictions that would prevent us from moving forward. It feels awful coincidental that that would be the target. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Craig DeCessa with the middle resolution. With all due respect to the delegate, this is the worst education bill I have seen in over a decade that I've been down here. This effectively prevents low-income children from going to private school. Even though you've given the substitute, this prevents the federal money coming in to help low-income children. And I think this is an awful thing for us to do here in Virginia. The country is watching us here. They know this bill has been introduced to try to neuter the federal tax credit program, and they're trying. The VEA and the NEA are trying to throw something up against the wall to see what sticks, so they can destroy private education around the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Todd Gackey on behalf of the Family Foundation. In opposition to this bill, the broad definition of public funds could really hamper many private faith-based schools either having to make a decision between adhering to these standards or following their mission and purpose. It also, the broad definition in this bill would restrict any future programs that are passed from being able to help assist low-income families. The structure raises serious constitutional concerns in light of recent U.S. Supreme Court precedent, Trinity Lutheran, Espinoza versus Montana, and Carson versus Macon. The court made clear that states may not discriminate against religious schools or condition participation in generally available programs on surrendering religious identity or practice. I'll just reiterate what the gentleman said before me. What this does is it gives the wealthy, those that can afford to place their children into a private school, the ability to do that while low-income families searching for a school that best meets their child's needs are not able to do so. We would urge you to oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Dr. Candace Lucas. I'm a licensed educator and administrator that specializes in educating students with disabilities. I also advocate on behalf of children and families of color that the public school system is failing. We're acting like the public school system is meeting the needs of a diverse version of our kids, and it's not. Okay, our children are graduating from the 12th grade and can't even read and write. And I'm not here to advocate for private schools. I'm here to advocate on behalf of consumer-directed educational services. That means that individuals, parents, based on Virginia's Constitution, which states that 240.1, a parent has a fundamental right to make decisions concerning the upbringing, education, and care of their children. That means we need to have those funds, which are our money, to educate our children the way we see fit, whether it's a micro school, whether it's a community school, private school, public school. Communities of color need that option because public schools are failing us. So I am against this bill because it takes away rights from individuals of color. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll now turn online. Those online, both for and against, you'll have 30 seconds each. For those who are with us, let's see. We have Mr. Butt. Good morning. Sorry. I think he's unmuted, but we are not hearing you. Let's come right back to you, sir, just in case. We'll go to Courtney. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Good morning. I'm Courtney Palumbo from Charlottesville, Virginia. I am head of school of a private school here in Charlottesville, and 20% of our students benefit from this program for lower income families. And honestly, I can't believe we're considering this. This would devastate private schools across Virginia, especially those that serve lower income families. We won't be okay with taking the SOLs. We actually take a much more rigorous test. That's a nationwide test. It does excellent job proving that we're doing our jobs. SOLs drive curriculum, and that undermines the entire premise behind private schools is you get to choose your own curriculum. So, sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Butt, are you? I think there is an issue with your microphone, so we'll give it one last try at the very end. We'll go to Barbara.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi. Yes, my name is Barbara Tavelev, and I'm here to express my opposition for this bill. I speak on behalf of parents from minority families and communities whose children often do not fit neatly into standard public school environments, whether it's because of cultural background, learning differences, or mental and emotional needs. So this bill effectively would make it unaffordable and inaccessible for these minority families to attend private schools. I believe that at its core, this bill represents government overreach into private education. Private schools exist precisely because families seek educational freedom, diversity of thought, alternative approaches to learning. I'm in opposition of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Anton, good morning.
Morning. This is Anton Teverev.
It has been shown again and again throughout the history that for any country to succeed, to be among the first ones in the world, free thinking based on the diverse education is critical. Only in this way innovation, discovery, and progress could be achieved. Yet this bill aims to eliminate exactly that. It wants to eliminate any diversity in education and to standardize mediocrity. It is unclear why would want to do this to his own state of Virginia. I strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Butt, if you are unable, if we're unable to hear you.
I can try.
I think you're here. Welcome, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you for the time. My name is William Butt. I'm a pastor, but more importantly, I'm a father. I'm here to object to HB 359. The truth is that kids in 4th and 6th grade are not reading at the correct grade level. The same is true for mathematics as well. My son was in public school for 4 years, received 0 spelling tests. He now goes to private school. Private schools represent the chance for these kids to have a real education, for them to learn critical thinking skills, for them to have a shot at life. And we are creating a system that is not going to do that. And I urge this committee to use your time wisely and do something great for these kids and reform public schools and keep private schools open for parents that can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Turning back to the committee, Delegate Reeser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 brief questions for the patron.
Delegate Reeser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would ask the patron with regard to, we heard some comments about discrimination and the fact that this bill discriminates. As I'm looking at the bill, I see from lines 100 to 121 that there are non-discrimination phrases throughout the bill, and I just wanted to ask for clarification if there are portions of the bill that would create discrimination rather than non-discrimination. I'm a little bit confused by that comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd answer the delegate that this is a bill that ensures public dollars from the federal government, as administered by Virginia, are never used to discriminate against Virginians. If a school wants to discriminate on the basis of race or sex or religion in terms of offering an education funded in part by public dollars, this bill simply ensures that does not happen. And it is the opposite of imposing a discriminatory requirement. It is proposing that we have an excellent education available in the public school system and, where funded with taxpayer dollars, the private school system that meets the needs of every single student.
My second question is regarding I'm sorry, I thought I had permission to ask all 3. Yeah. My apologies. Mr. Chair, my second question is regarding accountability. Could you please reiterate what accountability ratings or systems would be in place for the schools that receive these federal tax dollars?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd answer the delegate that just as public education institutions are required, as we've heard on previous bill's testimony, to maintain a solid rating and to be accredited through the accountability rating system. This would ensure that when applying those same sorts of taxpayer dollars to private institutions, and only in those cases where they want access to our taxpayer dollars, that they would have the Virginia accountability rating and the SOLs for those students in the participating grades. And of course, they all have a choice. They don't have to do it. It's just a requirement if you're going to receive these new grant dollars from the federal government.
Thank you, Delegate Reeser.
Last question, and I think you answered it, was is there an option to just forego this process if you choose?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The answer is yes, and I'd point out, I appreciate the delegate asking that question, because what this does is essentially maintain the status quo in Virginia, right? So existing funding mechanisms that are used in the private school system are not touched at all. What this says is, as new federal changes happen, that we're going to make sure Virginia is in the posture of keeping the status quo in terms of access to those funds, and make sure we continue to fund an excellent public education for the entirety of our population, regardless of race, sex, or religious belief.
Thank you. Delegate Simons.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment and a question for the patron.
Delegate Simons.
First of all, I just I think these standards are what we have currently for charter schools in Virginia. And my question for you is, as the substitute stands, would you agree that somehow this substitute devastates or changes the landscape for financial operations of private schools in Virginia?
Mr. Chair, I'd answer the delegate. I really appreciate the question. And as I said before, this maintains the status quo while dealing with future threats to public funding of public education.
Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the patron yield for a question? Question for the patron.
Delegate Garrett.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Could the patron tell me what the Establishment Clause of the Constitution says, the United States Constitution, First Amendment?
Delegate Garrett, please, if you could ask a more direct question to
yes,
the bill.
I'm wondering if the patron knows the Establishment Clause to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Delegate Garrett, if you could ask a direct question.
Mr. Chair,
yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer the question. Having sworn an oath to uphold that Constitution multiple times, I'm very aware of the non-establishment of religion as a principle by the state, as a principle of the Constitution of the United States of America. And I've been proud to put my life on the line to support and defend that right many times.
Delegate Simons.
Mr. Chairman, follow-up question.
Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's not a question. At the appropriate time, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask to speak to the bill.
Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Establishment Clause says that legislative bodies shall not make a religion nor prohibit the free practice thereof. And if you knew Carson v. Macon, which was just cited, that said they can't do this in Maine, then which is like 2 or 3 years old, Mr. Chair, then why would you do it here unless you just didn't care about the Constitution, the First Amendment thereto, the rule of law, any of that? Why would you do it here? And if you're going to make a bill that impacts a fundamental right, the First Amendment to the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, why wouldn't you know the First Amendment to the Constitution? I, too, swore an oath to defend the Constitution. Perhaps I took it more seriously than others. And so it's not just Carson v. Macon. It's Board of County Commissioners versus Wabasee County. It's Trinity versus Espinoza. It's FCC versus League of Women Voters. And it's so frustrating. And I feel for the woman who spoke on behalf of children and minority communities. I was impressed by the fact that number of the people that spoke against this bill had immigrated to this country from areas where their speech is regulated and controlled by dictatorial governments that tell them what they must say and what they cannot say. And so, Mr. Chairman, this is terrifying to me. Not just because I'm concerned that someone might force my child of my faith to learn and recite something that's abhorrent to our core beliefs, but because they might do that to a child who's Muslim or Jewish, too.
To the bill, Delegate Garrett.
I'm speaking to the bill, Mr. Chairman. That's exactly what this bill would do. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to yell.
I understand. To the bill.
Yes, to the bill. We can't do this. If we do this, it will be struck down, but again. And I just wish that members of this body who wish to carry bills to undermine the most fundamental rights that our founders sought to protect would at least learn the amendments that they're going to violate before they file the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Delegate Simons.
Mr. Chair, I move to report and refer this bill to appropriations.
As substituted.
As substituted.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to report and refer to appropriations as substituted. Members, please cast your vote on House Bill 359. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports and refers to appropriations 12-6. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Tran, good morning. If I can call the committee's attention to House Bill 1001. Again, another bill being heard before the committee for the first time, and it is to go to appropriations. Delegate Tran, good morning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I do have a substitute.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All those in favor of adopting substitute signify by saying aye. All those opposed, substitute is before us. Delegate Tran.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, I'd like to explain the bill and then explain the some of the technical changes in the substitute.
Delegate Tran.
Okay, thank you. This bill helps to address our college affordability issue by establishing a scholarship program and college access programs for eligible students. It implements several recommendations from JLARC's 2022 study of the actuarial surplus held by the Commonwealth Savers Program and reflects some ongoing compromises and discussions with stakeholders. So for context, the Commonwealth Savers Program, formerly known as Virginia 529, operated the legacy prepaid 529 program for about 24 years before closing the program to new applicants in 2019. That program is fully funded and significantly overfunded. So between investment earnings from Legacy 529 and administrative fees proceeds from the National College America program, which Virginia managed, the defined benefit 529 plan holds about $1.4 billion in actuarial surplus. That's $1.4 billion with a B. These funds cannot be used without legislative authorization, and I think throughout the years, based on conversations in the state Senate and here in the House, the Commonwealth Savers Program has set aside about over $500 million so that the legislature can determine if we want to move forward with that. So I do want to, and so what our substitute does helps to acknowledge that that money has been set aside. This bill establishes a dedicated access fund to be managed by Commonwealth Savers with clear guardrails, and if you have questions on that, I can get into that. The bill also directs that the earnings from the surplus creates the Virginia College Access and Affordability Scholarship Program to be administered by SCHEV. This program is designed to help eligible students who are most likely to face barriers to higher education by helping them pursue degrees in Virginia's 2- and 4-year institutions, and also help students who are enrolled in high-demand, non-credit workforce credential programs at our community colleges. The bill recognizes that college affordability is more than just tuition. Scholarships may be used on fees, housing, books, class equipment, childcare, and other necessary education-related expenses. It delineates who would be eligible for the scholarship. I'd be glad to answer questions you might have on that. The scholarships may be used for up to 12 academic terms or 6 years, contingent on satisfactory academic or workforce credentialing progress. And finally, the bill directs SCHEV to convene a work group to establish fair and effective eligibility and program guidelines for the scholarship program. I'm really excited about this opportunity to help support our low-income and middle-income families as their kids strive to, fulfill their dreams in our public and private institutions of higher education. And I know that you may have questions. I want to point out that JLARC is here to answer any questions regarding their study from 2022 and continued conversations in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Tran. Questions, comments from the committee? We'll turn now to those in person wishing to speak in favor of the bill. Please come forward. Those in favor, welcome.
Hello, my name is Abdullah Muhammad, and I'm a college student at VCU. I'm also a member of the VCU NAACP as well as the vice chair for the Political Action Committee for the state. And I think it's essential that there are more options for college to be affordable, especially now as minimum wage hasn't increased in a very, very long time to be a sustainable amount. I think that it's essential that low-income people have access to education so that way they don't have to just keep working the low-income jobs that they might not want to do per se, especially regarding that the 2-year degrees are also considered and other forms of essential work that are not 4-year degree based.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Morning, welcome.
Good morning, Chad Stewart. We're the Virginia Education Association. We also support this bill. Our teachers are very sympathetic, empathetic, and to students and the financial challenges of attending higher ed, and they strongly support this bill.
Thank you. Those in opposition or wishing to comment on the bill, please come forward.
Good morning, Chair Rasool and members of the committee. My name is Debbie Allen. I'm Chief Engagement Officer with Commonwealth Savers. My team is responsible for running the SOAR Virginia program, including SOAR Scholars, which administers our education access partnerships. We appreciate the changes from the patron and appreciate working with you in the last year on this bill. However, the bill continues to strike the long-standing Commonwealth Savers statutory authority to support education access and affordability programs. Striking specific programmatic authority in place for more than 15 years negatively impacts our ability to fulfill our broader statutory mission from inception in 1994 to make higher education more accessible and affordable for all Virginians. Since 2010, Commonwealth Savers has partnered with a dozen education access organizations and assisted over 125,000 low and moderate income students across the Commonwealth. Our programming was positively reviewed by JLARC several years ago. They noted that SOAR Scholar students are 16% more likely to enroll in post-secondary education and more than twice as likely than the average high school student to persist. I would urge this committee, we don't oppose the bill as a whole, but to strike the language that strikes our authority necessary to continue these programs and serve over 60,000 low-income students every year, which we would lose that authority with the bill. So thank you to the patron for working with us, and thank you to the committee.
Thank you. There are questions from the committee. Moving.
Mr. Chair, can I just clarify?
Delegate Tran.
I do want to say we've had ongoing conversations with our Commonwealth Savers Program folks. The bill does maintain their authority to continue the SOAR program that was just discussed, as well as Gear Up, but it does shift future responsibilities around access programs to SHEV, so to help with some efficiencies in place where we have one, go-to government state agency to handle our access programs. But it does maintain the ability to continue the SOAR and Gear Up programs that were discussed.
Thank you, Delegate Tran. Delegate Simons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to report as substituted.
And refer to appropriations?
And refer to appropriations.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to report and refer to appropriations. The bill that is before us. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports with substitute and refers to appropriations 13-5. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And now we'll come back to some subcommittee reports. We'll actually begin with a few bills on the K-12 subcommittee. And we'll turn to Chair Simons for House Bill 832.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 832 by Delegate Pope Adams has a substitute. I move the committee substitute.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Without objection, substitute is before us.
HB 832 requires the Virginia Department of Education to help governor's schools identify costs, funding sources, and infrastructure requirements to maximize school meal offerings to all students. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Motion is made and properly seconded to report with substitute House Bill 832. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports with substitute 16-3. Delegate Simons.
The next bill we have is HB 996 from Delegate Siebold. I move the subcommittee amendments.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. The amended bill is before us.
HB 996 directs the Department for Aging and Rehabilitative Services in collaboration with the Department of Education to develop a plan to expand the Post-Secondary Education Rehabilitation Transition PERT program to increase the number of students assisted in the transition from high school to post-secondary programs. The subcommittee recommended reporting with the amendment and referring on a vote of 10-0.
Yes, and so just to clarify, we have new amendments that are before the full committee that we just adopted, and with those new amendments that strike a portion of the bill that had fiscal implications, the bill no longer needs to go to appropriations. And so from Chair Simons, we have the motion to report as amended House Bill 996.
So moved.
And it's been properly seconded. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports with amendments, 17-3. Delegate Simons.
And the last bill from the K-12 Education Subcommittee was HB 849 from Delegate Cousins. This bill amends current law to require any school employee who has been suspended, regardless of the length of suspension, to continue to receive his then applicable salary unless and until the school board, after a hearing, determines otherwise. The subcommittee recommended reporting on a vote of 10-0, and I so move.
Motion made and properly seconded to report House Bill 849. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports 20-0. Thank you, Chair Simons.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. We have one more subcommittee report. We have a cameo appearance by Substitute Chair Delegate Cousins. Delegate Cousins, you have a Early Childhood and Innovation Subcommittee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. So first up, we have HB 125 from Delegate Reeser, which provides that written notice of non-continuation of a continuing teacher contract by the teacher must be given by June 15th of each year. Otherwise, the contract continues in effect for the ensuing year in conformity with local salary stipulations, including increments. The subcommittee recommends reporting 9-1, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 125. Members, please cast your vote. Bill reports 15-5. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next is HB 478 from Delegate Watts, which requires the Board of Education to establish criteria for awarding a high school diploma seal for excellence in fine arts, which may include a sequence of coursework, cumulative grade point average, and such sequence of coursework or any other performance-based criteria that the board deems appropriate. The subcommittee recommends reporting 9-1, and I so move.
Motion made and properly seconded to report House Bill 478. Members, please cast your vote. Oh, Delegate, I'm sorry, clerks will destroy the roll. On this bill, Delegate Zaire?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Yes, sir, Delegate Zaire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've noticed on the Virginia Department of Education website that it states that CTE programs were established to meet the need for technical workers. And just before we vote, I don't have the answer to this. I'm wondering if anybody on the committee has the answer to this, whether fine arts falls into the category of technical, technical needs.
Maybe that's a question for council, if council knows by chance the answer to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so I think the question is directed towards maybe the second half of the bill, which requires the board to add this diploma seal to the list of industry recognized workforce credentials for the purpose of satisfying that option for high school graduation. And so the way that this bill is set up is very similar to what you did very recently with the diploma seal of biliteracy, considering that to be an industry recognized workforce credential. I think the connection is maybe not so much to career and technical education as it is to the workforce and fine arts professionals being contributors to the workforce of the Commonwealth.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Thank you, Council. We have a motion that's been properly seconded to report House Bill 478. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports 17-3. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up, we have HB 941 from Delegate Clark, and we do need to move an amendment.
Motion's been made and properly seconded on the amendment. Without objection, the amendments are before us.
Thank you. This bill requires the Board of Education to establish as a requirement for graduation from high school hands-on practice of the skills necessary to perform bleeding control using a bleeding control kit, as such term is defined in relevant law. The amendment just added a delayed effective date of July 1st, 2027. The committee recommended reporting and referring to appropriations with an amendment 8-2, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded to report House Bill 941 as amended and referring to appropriations. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports and refers to appropriations 14-7. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you. Next is HB 955 from Delegate Guzman, and there is a substitute that I so move.
Second. Motion's been made and properly seconded on the substitute. Without objection, it is adopted.
Great. This requires the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia to annually report on the enrollment of Virginia students, non-Virginia students, and international students at each public institution of higher education in the Commonwealth and to submit a report of its findings. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute 10-0, and I so move.
Motion made and properly seconded to report House Bill 955 with substitute. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports 19-1. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next is HB 957, also from Delegate Guzman, and there is a substitute.
Motion's been made and seconded on the substitute. Without objection, substitute is adopted. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you. This bill requires the Department of Education to direct each school board to encourage each public elementary and secondary school in the local division to promote or utilize the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline to address student bullying and cyberbullying. The subcommittee recommended reporting with substitute 10-0, and I so move.
Motion's been made and properly seconded to report with substitute House Bill 957. And with the substitute, the fiscal implications have now been removed. So we've taken away the dreaded letter. So congratulations, Delegate Guzman. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports with substitute 21-0. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lastly, we have HB 1208 from Delegate Soul. I understand there is a new substitute to remove the fiscal impact, and I move that substitute.
Second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Because there's a new substitute, if I could just have council just briefly mention the difference since it's a brand new substitute to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the substitute basically would require the department in making these calculations to look at, for the mixed delivery program and the child care subsidy, to look at the current end re-benchmark levels under these programs. So that's all the substitute does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion made and properly seconded. All those in favor of the substitute signify by saying aye. All those opposed? The substitute is adopted. Delegate Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. HB 1208 requires the Department of Education to establish and maintain a calculation for the provision of early childhood care and education services based on cost of quality rate per child, actual data from the prior year, an estimate of parental demand and choice preferences based on historic growth trends and current eligibility criteria, and an estimate of the number of slots to be added to support local or regional economic development efforts and public-private partnerships focused on increasing the supply of child care services. The subcommittee recommends reporting 9-1, and I so move.
Motion made and properly seconded to report House Bill 1208 as substituted. Members, please cast your vote. Clerk shall close the roll. Bill reports as substituted 18-2. Does that complete your report? Chair Cousins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Thank you. All right, so what will happen immediately upon adjournment is we'll turn into the Higher Education Subcommittee, which will meet immediately. And then tomorrow we have 2 full dockets for K-12 Subcommittee at 7:30 a.m. and then at 4 p.m., where we have a whole host of bills that will be before us. And then Wednesday will be our final full committee. And we look forward to seeing you then. Delegate Simons.
Move to adjourn.
Motion been made and properly seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we stand adjourned.